Jackson gave me the news of a planet far away. And Colonel O'Neill will assemble a team that will try to save the day. Dr. Sam has a master plan and a science attitude. And the job for Jill, he's part of the deal with his trusty go-out. It's just a regular day at Stargate Command, and it might be hard to understand.
Chevron 1 encoded. Chevron 2 encoded. Chevron 3 encoded. Chevron 4 encoded. Oh no, this is gonna happen. Chevron 5 encoded. Chevron 6 encoded. Chevron 7 what? We have a stable world.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm trying to plug my headphones in.
Happy New Year, everyone.
20,
We could say that.
20,
It is our first episode in 2024.
You guys, we're entering our third year. This will be our third year.
Yep.
Oh, we're like in our toddler age.
2021.
I posted, I sent it to you, but I got the reminder through Facebook today that I did my first Stargate related TikTok post, which was honestly one of my first posts. I think there were like 2 before then. I was just a lurker. I just watched and I didn't post.
Yeah.
And I did the not the me saying it, but the actual voiceover, lip sync of the Stuck on a Glacier with MacGyver.
So good.
And that's what all of this happened because of that for me.
did.
So
Hooray.
Hooray. Well, we should probably introduce ourselves.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm your co-fry, Sarah.
I'm your co-fi, Christina.
And I'm your co-fry, Rebecca.
And before we get into our episode discussion, we have a couple announcements for the Fry Box.
Mm-hmm.
Short, cause we're 3 fry short.
And here
All
we are.
All right, Rebecca, you wanna take the lead on this?
Sure. Yeah. So if anybody doesn't know, and it's been a while since we said we were doing it, and honestly, it's been a little while since the companion's been talking about it, which is going to change starting tomorrow. But on January 27th, that is a Saturday, we are having Amanda Tapping, Embracing Mental Health as a Fandom, Part 3. And not only am I hosting it, but all 3 of us are hosting it.
Yay!
And I can't wait for it because I just think it creates such a better conversation when it's just more than 2. It feels more like a conversation when it's more than 2 people. When it's 2 people, it definitely feels just like I'm Larry King interviewing somebody. Like that's the vibe that I get when it's just 2 people. And so I'm very excited that we're all going to be there. Yeah, it is an event on the companion that is a member only event. That doesn't mean if you're not a member, you can't come. You definitely can. You can pay $20 for a live stream ticket, which the proceeds of that event are going to go to mental health organizations. There are 3 that we use. We use NAMI in the US. We use Kids Help Phone in Canada and Mind in the UK. That's where all of our donations are going to. But otherwise, I'm saying this a day early because the companion's announcing it tomorrow. But
exclusive.
Exclusive. It won't be live until tomorrow. But if you check back tomorrow on the companion.app, you can take advantage of our January Blues deal special where you can just go ahead and get a whole annual membership for $19.99. So a penny less than you would pay for that live stream ticket, and you can come to all of them. So yeah, your choice either way, but we're really excited to be hosting. I mean, I feel much stronger because I've got my fries with me this time. So
It's going to be awesome.
a lot less nervous. Definitely.
I mean, it's Amanda Tapping. It's going to be fantastic.
I know.
Each time just gets better and better. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, we did have to reschedule it because of scheduling things. So there's obviously still a possibility that things could happen, but that's life.
Yeah.
So, and everybody from the first reschedule was really cool about it. So just I always have to
And-
put that disclaimer out because I just feel like it happens, you know.
And Rebecca, for those who don't have a frame of reference, so being able to use that code to get the companion membership for $19.99 compared to what the companion membership typically is.
Typically $39.99.
Yeah.
So it's 50% off for a
Yeah.
membership. Pretty good deal. We are strive to do 2 live streams per month. So that's 24 live streams. And if the value of that is $20 per live stream, that's $480. I mean, yeah. It's a good deal, I promise.
Yeah.
It's a good deal. I'm paying more than that for my companion membership still, by the way. By the way, I refuse to cancel it because I just feel like I need to keep it.
It's like
for some
union
reason.
dues at this point.
No.
God, Rebecca.
Lawrence does too. I think both of us still just like have
You
our
guys
paid
pay for your
membership.
own memberships to your
It was
own
just to keep
company
our
you
paid
work for?
membership number up.
Oh, God. Okay, well, that's exciting.
Yeah. So we have that. And then if somebody else wants to kind of tell the story about me suggesting the other crazy thing in May that we're going to do, please.
Christina.
Is this about our jaunt across the
This
ocean?
is about
Across
our
the
jaunt
pond,
across
if you
the
will.
pond.
Oh gosh. Okay, put me on the spot with it, girls. I have just gotten my mental clarity back together.
I
But
will
yes.
clarify any facts that you need, but I feel like I've been talking for a while at this point.
Oh, I might need you to clarify quite a bit. Okay, so the fries will be at Basingstoke.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that right? Yes.
Yep, you did.
For the convention. So we will be there. And what do you want me to say about that other than that we'll be there?
Other than, I don't know, we're super
Get your butts
excited.
there, come to
Yeah.
the UK. Like we will be there.
We will.
If we can make it there, you can make it there. And then we can all hang out.
We're
Pretty
really
good
excited.
headliners in there. There's going to be like a
Oh my
decent group
gosh.
of people. I was
Yeah,
looking.
that's the other thing. Richard Dean Anderson, Amanda,
Mm-hmm.
Brad Wright,
Rachel Luttrell,
Mm-hmm.
Paul McGillian, Gary Jones,
So many good
Kim
people.
Rhodes from Supernatural or Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Ivana
They're
Lynch
millennial.
from Harry Potter. Like,
So many.
So there's like
really good guests.
second year. It's a really decent lineup.
Here's what's gonna really be the true entertainment is that we be 3 chips. We will be 3 chips.
We'll be 3 chips short.
Oh god,
That's so
that's
true.
kind of funny.
Yeah.
But we're trying to coordinate. So Rebecca and I are gonna come scoop up Sarah, and we're all gonna take a journey together.
Mm-hmm.
So you missed this, Christina, in our pre-live chat.
Yeah. What did I miss?
Because Rebecca has the what is it called? The notification for
yeah.
the flights.
The flight
And I'm
tracker, yeah.
seeing them
Yeah.
and I'm thinking like, oh my fucking god, they are so expensive, like $2,000,
Oh yeah.
$1,900. And she's like, no, that's for 3 of us. I'm like, oh my god, thank God, because I'm thinking I have to fork over because I don't fly. Like I've never really flown anywhere. I flew to Florida once for Disneyland, and then I flew for work
you're
stuff.
talking
But
to professionals here.
I'm thinking holy shit, is it really that even round trip $2,000?
No, okay. Remember for context, it's literally going to cost no more than what I was flying from coast to coast. I was doing that once a month. We're going to be good. We got this. We're just going across a body of water instead of some land.
A big body of water.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll have some mimosas.
No, it's lovely. And
We'll be
I've
fine.
oh yeah, there's a lot of prosecco is going to be consumed.
You
right
guys,
here.
we'll be good. We'll be good.
I don't
But
know
yes,
if
we're
this is gonna, because I'd make really fucked up jokes of, oh, are we flying right over where the Titanic crashed?
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes, you
Don't-
do.
we will.
See, okay.
You do, in fact.
Oh man. Okay, so we can go on a tangent for that forever. But yes,
Yeah.
in summary, the fries will be
It's May 10th through 12th is
Yes.
the weekend that we
will
will
be
be
there.
there.
We
And
are
then hopefully
excited.
show y'all some London and some things as well. We would add a few days because Basingstoke is apparently not the tourist destination spot, according to all of the UK people I talked
But
to.
that's fine. We'll go wherever we need to, but we'll
Yep.
be there. We'll be there. So all our UK peoples.
We'll
come to us.
probably record some kind of crazy live while we're at Basingstoke episode or something. It'll be
be fun.
wonderful.
It'll be fun. All right. I think we're just delaying the shit show of what is going to happen, but I think we should just get to it because What did
All
I say
right.
in the audio note today? What the hell is this episode?
Yeah.
Yes, and I put that somewhere on Twitter. Maybe I forget. I put it somewhere.
What the hell? Okay.
So we are talking about season 3, episode 21, which is called Crystal Skull. And from my memory, this was like a stinker of an episode.
But from my memory, I loved it. And so I rewatched it with like my other lenses, and I had a varying degree of emotions to this episode, but none of them good. So
I was able to pull like maybe 2 thoughts worth discussing, and then like a lot of thoughts that are also worth discussing, but in a very not serious way at all.
I love it. Let's go for it.
So before we get into it, any more like overall thoughts?
I just am glad CGI and green screen has come a long way, because that shit made me nauseous during this episode. That's my overall thoughts. So
Rebecca?
Yeah, I have a picture to show. That's pretty
Oh,
cool,
yeah.
actually, whether you like the green screen or not. This is a really cool BTS picture because it shows.
that is cool.
That's pretty neat, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that is such a narrow walkway.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really see it in the episode itself because of all like the CGI and whatnot, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's giving, and I have this in the notes, it's giving like the Last Crusade scene. It's not the penitent man shall pass, but it's the one of those challenges. It's like very much
Oh, it's
that.
the faith one. Like you
Yeah,
like,
the
you
leap of
take a
faith.
Leap of faith. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's giving that. They ripped it off from that, I'm telling you.
Well,
But
speaking of Indiana Jones all around, like if because of the crystal
just-
skull thing
true,
too. Like,
true. Well,
Hmm.
that came after this episode, so maybe they were like, "Well, you ripped us off here, so now we're gonna rip you off there."
Also, suspending disbelief at what they think is grand and big and so awe-striking. It reminded me of Zoolander, when it's like, what is this? It's a little house. Like, it just like they make it like this is this huge, amazing structure, and it looks like, anyway.
Gray.
Let's just
gray
go into
blobs.
this. I'm gonna.
All right.
I have hot takes, and we need to.
I want to hear them all. All right,
Yeah,
so
let's go.
we open with the map arriving on a planet that's Mayan-esque looking pyramid there. That's over 1,000 meters tall, which this is big. I guess my stupid American brain has to think about meters versus feet.
did you actually just do it? Did you do the calculation?
I didn't. Well, I originally put feet, like 1,000 feet, but I'm like, oh, that doesn't stand. And then I'm like, oh wait, never mind. It's meters. I had to look at the transcripts.
I'm gonna convert it to stories. If we're at 1,000
Ooh.
meters, that is 303 stories.
I mean,
On
that's
a side-
tall.
On a side note, like anytime I watch a nature documentary where it's I think there's like a series on Netflix called 72 Dangerous Animals in Latin America, and then they have like Australia, and it's really interesting and fun. But I'm like, my dumbass American brain, because they're like, it can be over 250 kilometers fast. I'm like, that means absolutely fuck all to me. I need to convert it. I don't know what that means. Nothing. You could tell me that it was 800 miles an hour in 2 kilometers, and it means nothing to me. I don't know. So anyway, the atmosphere on this planet is breathable, but signs of complex life are not there. They're just kind of like empty. And Teal confirms that this is not a Gould structure. So that's interesting, I guess. He's ruling
So
out
that's
the Gould.
cool.
Okay. The map enters this pyramid to reveal a really big cavern with stalagmites. Sam is immediately excited because, according to the map readings, these are leptons. That means something inside the pyramid is slowing down neutrinos. Normally, neutrinos pass right through ordinary matter, no matter how dense. And then Sam inadvertently calls Jack stupid because she's like, a 500 million just went through you right now. And he's like, oh, no matter how dense, I guess, right?
I mean, it was cute.
It was funny, yeah.
It was funny. You know what though? I do think it's interesting for Teal'c to admit that it was not Gould, because up until that point, everything pyramid had predominantly been
That's true.
Gould. So like
Yeah.
identifying, oh no, this shape is not from us. could have been a good foundation for a branched off storyline that we never got as to why there was a pyramid shape that wasn't Gould. But anyway, I
What
digress.
could have been? What could have been?
What could have been? It was not a landing for a spaceship.
Just giant ghost aliens.
Yep.
So again, like this is a material that slows down neutrinos. It's basically like a big physics thing. These leptons, neutrinos. Daniel sees something on the map and has Sam zoom in, zooming in incredibly high resolution-y, which probably did not exist back in this time, might I add. It's like on episodes of CSI where it's like zoom in to 800%. And it's like there's a perfect picture of the perp.
I was just thinking of the Fall of the House of Usher when they make fun of that because
Yes.
it goes enhance and they're like, you can't
That's
actually
not a
do
thing,
that.
you
It's
asshole.
not a
Like,
thing. Perfect.
I love that when they call that out.
Mm-hmm.
So he has her zoom in, unrealistically so, and across this narrow bridge is a glowing crystal skull. And now Daniel is super interested because it's just like the one his grandfather found in Belize in 1971. And then we have our opening credits. So they created a grandfather for Daniel to have, I guess, just for this episode. Cool. So I have a lot of dialogue here because there's like lots of plot dump. So let's see.
do it.
Daniel
Daniel.
O'Neill, Hammond, Teal'c, Fraser. There's a lot.
Carter has one line. Fraser has I'll take Carter. You know what? You guys do Daniel and O'Neill.
Okay.
And I'll do the filler parts because it's mostly Daniel and O'Neill. So
Okay. We got this. All right. Daniel says, I could name at least a dozen different crystal skulls from various parts of the world, but the skull that Nick discovered in Belize was unique.
Nick?
Yeah, the great explorer, the not so great grandfather, Nicholas Ballard. He preferred being called Nick when I was a kid. It was anyway, the point is that no one can explain how the skull that Nick discovered was carved from a single piece of crystal against the grain, given the technology of the day. He claimed that it possessed a certain power.
Hammond says, "What kind of power?"
That if one were to look into the eyes of the skull, one would be teleported to see aliens.
Ooh, Teal'c, your grandfather saw these aliens?
So he insisted to the entire academic community.
Fraser, I take it this claim didn't go over very well.
As you might imagine, no. He tried for years under controlled conditions to make the skull teleport him again to where the aliens lived, but he never could.
Doesn't mean he wasn't right.
Carter, the academic community didn't believe your theory that the pyramids were landing sites for alien spaceships either.
We have to see this.
Hammond, I'll authorize a standard recon mission. Fraser, Colonel, I can only guess the effect this type of radiation may have on the human body. I recommend limited exposure, 10, 15 minutes at most.
Wait a minute. That's not enough time. I mean, there has to be some sort of radiation suit or...
Hey, if you'd been listening, you know that Nintendo's pass through everything.
I heard.
So off to the planet they go.
I mean, good on Jack for picking up on that there's something that goes through things that shouldn't go through things, and it's probably dangerous.
He 100% made that shit up on purpose. He knows what they're called. He's just trying to maintain his goofy, I don't give a shit attitude. And I kind of love that. Like, I'm going to it's like that self-depreciation. Like, I'm going to make myself sound stupid on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he ain't stupid.
So off to the planet we go. As soon as they enter the pyramid, the radiation levels increase. They don't have much time. Sorry, I don't know what the fuck that was. The pyramid is impressive, and Teal'c points out whoever built it is a formidable race. They cross the narrow bridge to the Crystal Skull. Like I said before, it's giving Last Crusade, the best Indiana Jones movie.
Here, we'll go back
Leap
to
of
this
faith
while you're
scene.
talking.
Yes.
That they crossed
Yeah.
that, except
Yep.
it looks less green.
Yeah. So Sam starts the radiation clock countdown. Daniel walks up to this pedestal where the skull is, and he becomes enamored with it. The scene is kind of weird because they're all doing their own thing. Did you realize this? Like, Daniel's looking at this skull. Sam is like talking about radiation and leptons or whatever the fuck. And then Jack's like looking over the edge. I wonder how far down that. It's so weird. It was very strange. Because, like, aren't you on a countdown? Don't you have shit to do? Like, you're just looking down? I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it was just bizarre. I think it was just like bizarre writing. So lights begin to glow in the skull, and Teal'c tries to get Daniel's attention, but he's ignored. The radiation spikes to 300, then 400%, and Jack is like, "We got to get the fuck out of here now, bitches! Like, we gotta go." Lights explode from the skull, and an energy field engulfs Daniel. Teal'c raises his Zat and fires at the skull, knocking Daniel away. The energy field collapses. Daniel is lying stunned on the floor, but none of the others go over to check on him. It appears that he has disappeared, and Teal'c crosses over to the stone pedestal. He steps right through Daniel, where he's lying unconscious on the floor. And even Jack is like, where did he go? Like, they don't see him anymore. So the radiation is off the charts now. Sam suddenly passes out and is caught by O'Neill, who lifts her up over his shoulder and starts running back across the bridge. This is where I said in our group chat, I'm like, this is the best part of the episode. I want someone to scoop me up like that and carry my radiation sickness body away.
I mean, he was just ready to go, but like
she didn't even hit the floor at all.
No,
like,
he was like whoosh.
Not even close.
I think that's why it's so great, because it's so smooth. It's just like boop, boop,
smooth.
like done.
But then right after that is the Teal'c running in place, like scene where I'm like, I can't, because he's like, and you can tell he's not actually running. They're just
Yep.
Pretend to run, Teal'c. Pretend to run.
Pretend to run.
Yep.
Pretend to run. It was It was interesting.
So Jack, who was hauling Sam on his shoulders, and Teal'c run across the bridge, gate home, all with various amounts of radiation sickness, and Daniel is noticeably absent. So this is where I'm like, what the fuck kind of radiation is this? Because I have watched the Chernobyl HBO miniseries, and that is the scariest fucking shit ever. Like the most body horror shit I've ever seen. So like for them to be like radiation sickness, 400%, like what on earth? And my question is
not
answered.
on Earth. That's the thing.
Yeah, my question is answered like in the next scene, because we cut to the infirmary. Jack wakes up feeling like shit. Fraser tells him that it's muon radiation, and it's affected his hypothalamus, causing him to overheat. Now, I tried to look up what the fuck muon radiation is, and it was too small for my fucking pea brain to handle. I'm like, well, they got me, because I'm not going to look into this anymore. I guess that's the difference. It's not nuclear radiation. It's murons or whatever the fuck.
Oh.
Like real small?
It's usually in the upper layer of the atmosphere. It's a result of the interaction of primary cosmic radiation and atmospheric nuclei.
Oh, did you just look that up?
I did. I did not know that ahead of time.
Say that was very Samantha.
I should have. Yeah, you don't know what muon radiation is? Come on.
Absolutely not.
Come on.
And even when you reading that definition, that still tells me absolutely nothing. It means nothing to me. It's just like, okay, it's like some kind of radiation that's in the atmosphere before we get to space. So
I mean, okay.
I guess I at least accept the explanation as that's a form of radiation that, at least on Earth, should be really hard for humans to come in contact with. So
yeah.
They can
and it's more,
I
guess, more naturally occurring versus like the man-made kind, which is real fucking terrifying. Where like that kind. So
yeah.
Again, I still don't know like what the effects on the human body would be at 400% spikes, but I don't know.
We're gonna suspend our disbelief there.
They're fine. We have no choice.
They'll be fine.
Oh, never mind. Okay, approximately 1 muon hits every square centimeter of the Earth every minute at sea level.
Oh.
So it's natural background radiation.
What are you laughing at?
The chat.
Let's see. Let's read some comments.
Is it you want John's first? Wait, which John?
No. Okay, hold on. Muons are another type of leptons, like the Nintendos.
Yeah.
See, the
Nintendo
lepton.
radiation.
The lepton is making my millennial brain think of an episode of Jimmy Neutron.
I
Fair.
mean, fair.
Um,
Okay. Oof.
Anyways, radiation is bad and it like makes you feel bad.
Bad.
Real
Radiation
fast.
bad.
Real fast instead of
Radiation bad.
instead of Chernobyl radiation, which that miniseries is terrifying, but it's also amazing. So
Oh, it's so fucking
Yeah.
good.
Okay. Focus.
Anyway,
Focus.
so Teal'c tells Hammond that all the stuff that happened and that Daniel disappeared. And cut to the control room. Hammond is trying to locate Daniel with the map, but he can't even see. I don't know what that means. Oh, he can't even see him with infrared because they're like cycling through all
Did
the
you type
like.
see songs of him?
I don't know what that. I
But
don't
can't
know.
even. Oh yeah, your typo says
I know what I put. but I
Daniel
don't
with the
know
mouth,
what
but
I-
can't even see songs of him with
Signs
infrared.
of him?
Signs of him with
Okay.
I
infrared.
think it's signs. Yep.
Yeah.
The songs of him. That would make sense too.
Yeah. So they're even like cycling through like infrared or night vision or ultraviolet. So like they can't see him at all. Teal'c joins him, all better thanks to his symbiote. He proposes to go back for the skull because Nicholas Ballard believed the crystal skull was a teleportation device. Recovering the skull might help determine the location to where Daniel went. Good idea. Like we should probably bring the skull back because that's the only fucking thing there. Except for these stalagmites, which I can't really take those. So Hammond agrees since Teal'c's symbiote will protect him. Teal'c goes back. We get some CGI shots of him running across the bridge again. Christina has to control her nausea.
It was so shaky. I don't understand. I mean, I get it because like they had to like put it in, but it was a wobbly mess. I don't know. It
was bad.
It was bad.
CGI.
Mhm.
So he goes back, retrieves the skull. Daniel wakes up and tries to talk to Teal'c, but he can't hear him. And Teal'c runs straight through him like a hologram. Daniel follows Teal'c to the infirmary. He follows him back home too, like through the gate. Are you good?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's like, wait, what's? Sam is still recovering. I guess because her lady body just couldn't take the radiation because she seems to be affected by it the most, which is where I had one of those thoughts where I was like laughing to myself, Rebecca, because I was like, what? Because she was reading it, it's like you smelt it, you dealt it, girl. Like you get the worst of it because like you were reading your Geiger counter or whatever.
No, what would have been really cool is if like Jack passed out instead.
And
And
she
Sam
lifted
had
him
to,
up.
because I guarantee you she can do it because they have to be able to do
100%.
it. Like, so
She absolutely
Would have
could.
been Teal'c, would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Let me have that. I'll just have that in my brain. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
save it for the fanfic. Anyway. So yeah, Sam is still like completely out for the count. And Jack is recovering, but he's very cranky and vocal about it. He refers to Fraser as a Napoleonic power monger, which I thought was pretty funny. Teal'c and Jack discuss the skull. They don't think it's a weapon, but now think it's some kind of teleportation device. Daniel is in the room with them, and he's like, okay, I'm invisible. It has to be this other third option that we don't know about yet.
I love Invisible Daniel just going around like still just
talking at people.
talking
Like,
to people, but like they're not they don't hear him. He just wants
he's like still including himself in these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
There's this really funny interaction between O'Neill, Teal'c, and Fraser. This was the other best part of this episode.
It's actually not Fraser. It's just Fraser is referred to.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys got this then.
Who do you want? You want to be O'Neill or Teal'c?
I'll be O'Neill.
Okay, perfect.
Look, I'm sick of laying around. Help me up.
Dr. Fraser believes you are not strong enough to undertake such a mission.
Yeah, whatever. And he tries to get up, and then he succeeds in rolling off the bed and onto the floor.
Dr. Fraser is usually correct in such matters. Bam. Puts him down.
Thank you.
You are welcome, O'Neill.
He literally like plunks him up into the bed, and then it's a very muffled thank you. Like, because his face is just planted into the mattress.
It's literally just the episode, like you're saying, Sarah, of everyone just picking other people up. Everyone's just getting picked up in this episode.
The best part of the episodes. Yeah. Anyway. Rothman is currently studying the skull, who is another scientist that works with the SGC, and Invisible Daniel is trying to help him. It seems like they are keeping vital information from Rothman because, like, how it was found on another planet. They don't tell him that. Does he, like, not know?
Well, there's probably security clearance things. Maybe he's not to be trusted. I don't know.
For what Hammond is asking, though, that seems like very fucking important information to not tell him. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's very strange. Like, they're setting him up for failure.
Ye-
And then,
this is 100% why Sam had to be the one that was out for half the episode.
Mm-hmm.
to get the Rothman.
It's just like when like Teal'c can't be there because he's got to be, because he would be able to do like something way better than everybody else that was
Yeah.
there. Like
Mhm.
I'm tracking that now at least.
Yeah. So, like, Hammond has the nerve to get all pissy when Rothman doesn't understand what he's supposed to be doing. And then Hammond demands a full report in 12 hours. It's like, dude, if you're not going to give him all the information, like, what's the assignment? Like,
Mhm.
what are you asking of him? It's like when I freak out at work because I'm given unclear instructions, and it's like, tell me what you need, because this is very not clear to me. Christina has her hand raised.
Because I think part of it might be that after X amount of time, they will release that information, but sometimes going into something without a bias is helpful because then you can look at it from a different perspective than what you would have knowing where it came from. Because I think, yeah, if you were to hand me these glasses and be like, what could you tell me about them? I don't know. I might look at the materials. I might look at it instead of like the story around it. I might look at like the function of it or like the physics of it or like what makes it glasses versus why did they get to where they were found. And like, I don't know. I think there's some validity to not giving all the information right up front. Maybe he has a unique insight. But yeah, at some point they should tell him.
Mhm.
It is frustrating.
And what happened to Daniel? Like, I don't know. It just seems like such vital information that could steer him in the right direction that they're keeping from him altogether, because he even goes on, he's like, oh, this is like identical to the one that was found in Belize, and it was probably made in Germany. So, like, right off the back, he's off to the wrong start. Like, oh, it's probably made in Germany. Wrong. It was, like, because they're purposely keeping that information from him.
Yeah.
So it's like you're just setting yourself up to get bad information because you're not telling him the full picture, which maybe, okay, don't tell him everything, but like maybe steer him in the right direction, the poor guy. I felt bad for him this whole episode.
You know what? That could be a good question for Brad sometime is why did not everyone always know about the missions?
I don't expect a satisfying answer. I'm sorry.
Exactly. So it's just going to have to go. So like, that's my point. Like, we're not going to, I don't know.
Yeah. So there was actually this like funny bit of information between, or this exchange between Rothman and Siler, because it looks like their workstation, like they share a desk. They don't even have their own desk. They share. And Rothman says teleportation device, because I think somebody mentioned it. And he looks at Siler, who's working across from him. He's like, what do you think? And
I
Siler's
love
like, I think you're going to get fired, because like he doesn't understand the assignment because he was given
Yeah.
unclear instructions.
Exactly. But also he didn't ask the questions. He didn't ask, where did you find this? Like, you don't see him even asking the right questions. So like, maybe they would have answered him if he had asked. But anyway.
That seems petty. Like, I don't know. If I'm approaching somebody with a project, I over explain to make sure they understand. So shame on Hammy, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
I felt bad for Rothman this whole episode. Like,
I think Hammy is also spoiled though by like if Sam and Daniel were actually there, he would have gotten a full report in like 4 hours. So he's like, just give me the report, do the thing, because you know he's in charge of everybody, but he doesn't know what he should be saying or what he should be doing, or you know, because he's always had like Sam and Daniel to be the people that just tell him all the good information, basically.
but they have like I guess the clearance that Rothman doesn't have, and they already know as much as they could possibly know before having to figure it out more.
Exactly.
So there's some dialogue. Just kidding. Teal'c is Kelno reaming. Teal'c is doing his Kelno ream with Invisible Daniel in the room. Daniel thanks him for returning, and Teal kind of senses his presence, but still can't see or hear him. Like he walks, he's like looking around, he like walks outside to make sure like no one's outside his door. So there's some like, can they sense him? Can they not? Cut to go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just love that scene though in a way because it's like his Kellner reaming, but it's also when he stands up, it's very much like his like impromptu seance because he's like, "Is there somebody here?" Like it's like I just felt like at that point, I don't know.
Get the Ouija board out, Teal.
Yeah.
So, cut to Rothman. He's looking directly into the skull's eyes.
He was told not to do that. He was told. I went back. He was told, "Do not look into the skull's eyes."
But
And he did it anyway.
Yes, because he was trying to prove a point, as he says. So Sam, like, I guess, awakens from her radioactive slumber and is cranky about it, and she like screams at him to not do that because that's exactly what Daniel was doing when he was absorbed by this energy field. And he was like, I know that. I was trying to prove a point. Because, and I have it later in the notes, but do you guys want to finish reading? It's Fraser, Daniel, Carter, Rothman.
Yeah.
I'll take the Rothman. I'll take him.
Okay. I can do.
You do Fraser and Daniel.
Yeah. All right. Fraser says, "Proof what?" And then Daniel says that the skull didn't do this.
You don't think the skull is responsible for what happened to Daniel, do you?
I'm still here.
There was intense muon radiation at the time of the energy.
There's no residual radiation.
Look, I saw what that thing is capable of.
Hey, I wish it was a teleportation device. I could use it to go find Daniel. He's my friend too. You know, I don't think that's what we've got here. I think we've got here is a paperweight.
So it just sounds like he has like a cold the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's like they're filling him with like he's the stereotypical nerdy scientist who has allergies.
That nasal.
Well, you even saw him like using like nasal spray or some shit too.
Of course he did.
Because it's like, yes, all nerds have congestion, I guess. Where it's like, why?
I mean, like kind of.
Actually, there is a correlation between intelligence and allergies.
Yes.
Well, then, shit. I guess I'm smart as fuck.
Yes,
but like, it's like the notion of glasses are like a smart people thing. Like, how do you correlate bad eyesight with being smart? Where did that come from?
I mean, I guess you're smart because you go get it fixed.
That's true. But like beyond that, it's like what you read so much, your eyes are tired and they're like, fuck you, I'm like bouncing, like go get glasses. We need help. This is too much work. So this is where I have a rant because I'm Team Rothman. This poor guy, just because he's not part of the clique of SG-1 doesn't make him any less valid. Sam takes over the test. Clearly the radiation is the secret ingredient here. Because that's what makes this shit work apparently, and they can't replicate it without having Chernobyl Part 2 Cheyenne Mountain. Like that's clearly the secret ingredient here. You want to replicate 400% times radiation, then Rothman's really going to be fired. So I feel bad for him because they're just like punching down on him so hard. There is a moment when Daniel speculates why he isn't hungry or thirsty and then wonders if he might be dead. And then Sam, as he kind of like speaks this out loud, Sam also has a moment like Teal'c had where she senses Daniel, but it's all chalked up to like radiation sickness. So cuts the control room. After running all the tests she could think of, she's got nothing. Just like Rothman said, she did all of her tests. Just to confirm, yeah, I guess Rothman was right, but they didn't even say that. Just like he said, they got nothing.
Christina.
I think that they believed in Rothman this whole fucking time, and just hear me out. I just think some people come to their strength and their like ownership of a problem by a little bit of this unknown. Like I think they intentionally left information out because they obviously trusted him with it. They didn't fully take it away. They just like I don't know. I don't think they were anti-Team Rothman. I just think they were presenting it to him in a different way to see what he would come up with, which was what we just said, is that like it's not what they were telling him. Like he had a different perspective and he proved it and he said it, and then they kind of moved forward with that idea. So I think just because he wasn't given all the information up front didn't mean they were anti-Team Rothman. I just think that's what he needed in order to kind of find his footing with it. That's all.
You're giving them way too much credit. I'm a hater, and I think that they're haters.
You are such a hater, and I
Yes, because they don't even give him credit. Like Sam's like, I'm taking over these tests
That's
because
fair.
you suck apparently, and I have to step in and do this, even though I'm radiation sick right now. Like that's the vibe I got.
I can't even get a sick day off because you suck at this.
Exactly.
And I'm over here like, no, they're just letting him learn by fire. They
No, it's because
believe
he's not in their
him.
fucking clique. Like this is high school bullshit all over again. Jerks.
Okay.
I shook my head so far my charger came out of my headset. So cut to
Continue.
the okay, so they couldn't find anything out. Rothman was right. They want to go back, but the radiation is too high, so they send a UAV to check out the rest of the planet. And then we have some more dialogue. Carter, Daniel,
Fraser, and Daniel are the big ones.
Yeah, I'll get the O'Neill in there.
I got Daniel Fraser. No, Daniel. I'll just do
You'll
Daniel.
be talking to yourself a lot.
Yeah, no, I'll just do Daniel. There's a hammy at the end. You want to do
I can
Carter
grab the
hammy?
at the end.
I'll do,
I'll grab the hammy at the end if you want to do Carter Fraser.
Okay, sure. Let's do it. I can't believe I'm going to suggest this, but what about Daniel's grandfather?
Nick?
Well, he claimed that the skull teleported him somewhere. He may be the only person who actually knows where Daniel is. Fraser, I'm not so sure, Major. I've already taken the liberty of looking him up.
No, you didn't.
His current address is a psychiatric institute in Oregon.
Psychiatric?
Apparently, his failure to prove the crystal skull was more than just a curiosity caused a severe mental breakdown from which he's never been able to fully recover. Nick checked himself in, and then Carter says, "Why wouldn't Daniel have told us that?"
Oh, yes. By the way, he's insane.
Fraser, Daniel was a regular visitor up there until 4 years ago, right before he joined the Stargate program.
Oh, please. He kicked me out. We had a huge fight.
Apparently, Nick still talks about him all the time.
He doesn't want anything to do with me.
The doctor I spoke to says any friends of Dr. Jackson's are welcome.
What?
Carter, we don't have much else to go on.
Find out what you can, but I needn't remind you the details of this matter will have to remain classified. That means you won't be able to tell him what happened to Dr. Jackson or where the skull was found. So, cut to the institution and Teal'c, PI, because he's wearing his like
I love
detective
it.
noir getup with his
It's
little
so
hat
good.
and trench coat and everything. Daniel-
Does he say something like, "Are you close friends or something?" And he
Oh,
goes,
yeah.
"Extremely close," or something like that.
Get it? Is that in this thing here or no?
Mm-mm,
Oh,
no.
No, yeah, I kind of cut that out, but they all like say something different. Like I think Jack said no or Daniel said no, but Teal'c's like, yes, we're extremely close friends. So Daniel cuts ahead of them and tries to communicate with Nick and have him tell SG-1 everything he knows about the skull that he found in Belize. So we have this chunk of dialogue. We have Nick, O'Neill, Daniel.
Carter.
I got Daniel.
I got Carter.
And then
I'll do the O'Neill.
I'll
And
do
then-
Nick. I'll do
Yeah. Okay.
okay.
Nick. Daniel followed my footsteps.
You must be very proud.
He made a fool of himself.
Oh yeah, here we go.
He staked his entire academic career on this belief that the Great Pyramids of Egypt were made by aliens.
Yes, well, that's
He was more insane than I was. I told him so. I told him to forget all that nonsense.
It wasn't nonsense. I was right.
He lost his apartment, his research grant. He hasn't published a paper in 2 years. Now where is he? Where is he now? And Carter, in a way, that's what this is all about. We wanted to hear exactly what happened to you back in 71 when you first found the skull. Nick, nothing happened. There were no aliens.
Trust them, Nick.
No one believed me.
Daniel believed you.
No, don't.
He didn't. He wanted to. He did listen. In the end, he did not believe in my theories of the skull, just as I did not believe his theories of the pyramids and the aliens.
Nick, can you tell us what happened when you found the skull?
Why?
Because we found another skull identical to the one you found in Belize.
Show me, Carter. It's in a high security facility at the moment, but if you tell us about your experiences, Nick, then take me there.
We can't do that. It's classified.
You have to.
If you don't, then I won't tell you anything. And he gets up to the window, up and looks to the window, looks out. It's up to you.
It's such a like pouty. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Da, da, da.
So Jack convinces Hammond to let Nick come to the SGC. There's this really funny line where
Can we please read this?
Yeah, you guys got that.
Sure. Clearly I'm Hammond.
Yes.
A civilian who has spent the last 20 years of his life in a psychiatric institution?
Exactly. Who's gonna believe him if he says anything?
Colonel, you walk a fine line.
Thank you, sir.
He was very proud of that. But he's right. Like, if you have to bring any civilian in, like,
Might
that's a
as
good
well.
one, I guess.
God.
So we cut to like Jack leaves and Daniel kind of sticks around in Hammond's doorway and he overhears a conversation between Hammond and his granddaughter and how she lost another tooth, but he can't come to her school play because his friend is missing and he has to find him. So Christina had thoughts about that.
I did. I thought it was so. It's the first time we've seen Hammy as like anything other than General Hammond, really, other than 1969, but it still like is kind of in storyline. But it's interesting because Daniel's, without being creepy, Daniel's kind of listening in across the episode around how people feel about him, and I think any of us would do that, like want to know how people feel. And he got to hear Hammy genuine be like, "No, it's a friend of mine, and he's really close." Like Hammy could have said anything, but to really like
This
hear
jerk that's
that,
always getting himself in trouble.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like he said it so sincerely because later on we hear Carter and O'Neill say some stuff too, and it's like, I don't know, I just thought it was sweet, but it was sweet to kind of be like, oh shit, Hammy's got grandchildren and he's got people depending on him, and we just don't ever really hear about that up to this point. So at least in this episode, we got that start of a backstory.
Yeah. I'm going to pull us to the comments for a minute.
Yes, let's read some comments. Can we please talk about
John
Nick's
says-
unhinged accent? I was wondering about what kind of accent is that?
It's a little all over the place.
It feel like I don't like, or is this a German accent? I don't know. It's hard to tell.
It's kind of, it's like in Die Hard, Alan Rickman's accent was German for like 2 minutes and then it wasn't anymore.
It's like the vaguely European accent, like just
from all over the place.
something, I guess,
Yeah.
and stick with it.
Yep.
Any other comments worth?
This one also from John. Sam is every mom with a partner who does not do shit working when she is sick. Yep. She's just like I think she likes to have the control too. She feels like
Totally.
Nobody's gonna do it right. I have to do it because I'm the one that can do it right.
Yeah.
That's fair, but my girl needs a break.
We have an accent. I think it's a mix of German and Connecticut. Other John says sounded Irish Canadian. So we're all over the place with this accent.
Yeah.
Nick needs to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so back to the Hammond thing. Like, it is very sweet. I do like seeing that interaction with him. However, it just felt too much like a setup of like, oh, Daniel's only overhearing this to bring this up later on to prove that like he's actually here. Because that is used later on to like convince Hammond that Daniel is actually there.
This is the first time we hear about Hammond's grandkids, right?
Yeah.
I can't recall. Like, I don't know if he has like mentioned them in passing.
He's probably mentioned them, but like for them
But
to be
like for them to be talking.
Yeah.
Well, but also though, because I think the idea is everyone's like left the room, and like normally that's something that would only happen in private. like Hammond wouldn't let anyone see that side of him.
Mhm.
Right. And that's why it felt too much like a setup of like, okay, obviously Daniel was witnessing this for a specific reason. Like I'm thinking in terms of like writing like the episode. Like Daniel
Oh.
has to witness something that nobody else saw to prove that he's actually here type of thing. Like that kind of trope of like, how would anyone know that I was
Yeah.
alone?
I
So
guess
that's
so.
kind of like I do like seeing it, but it still felt like a little insincere.
But it could have been anything in private. Like, it could have been any conversation in private. It could have been
True.
any topic.
I also thought that how does his, I don't know, like 10-year-old granddaughter have a direct line to his red phone? Like,
I mean,
Oh, she's gonna. Well, no, I think they probably had to patch her through.
patch
yeah.
her through.
Oh,
It's
Lo
like,
says this episode feels very much like it was written to establish how much the team cares about one another and how much they don't care about Rothman.
they're
oh,
a bunch of
mean
bullies.
girls.
It is Mean Girls. It's Mean Girls SGC.
You can't
yeah.
sit with us, Rothman.
Oh.
All
Okay.
right. So Daniel overhears this conversation with Hammond and his granddaughter. Nick is brought to the skull and he confirms it's exactly the same that he found in Belize. He describes the cavern being just like the one where SG-1 were on the other planet. So he was like, yeah, I was in Belize, but then I was at this other place. And he describes the cavern and everything like SG-1 saw. Who wants to read the little dialogue? It's Nick and then one little Rothman line.
I don't
You got-
care.
Can you
I can take-
reproduce the bizarre accent?
I cannot
Nick?
reproduce that
No.
one.
The vaguely
No.
European.
No, I can't do that. But I'll read it, but I can't do it.
Go for it. I'll be Rothman.
Okay, sounds good. I'm not gonna do an accent. I'm not even gonna try. I don't know how I got there. A field of energy surrounded me, and suddenly I was simply there. And then they came, giant aliens. They rose up as if they were made of mist. They flew around like specters. They spoke, "Oh yay, woggling, waite." Did I read that right? My glasses are not on.
Wailing. I don't know.
Walling, waite.
Tail.
Tail.
Sure.
My
We'll go with that.
My glasses are not on, and then the like red squiggly lines are like throwing me off.
So Rothman, that's Mayan. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Nick says, I was afraid to answer. I just closed my eyes, and suddenly I found myself back again under the temple in Belize, and the ground was shaking as if an earthquake, and just grabbed the skull and climbed out, and everything collapsed.
So, meanwhile, as he's recounting this thing, Invisible Daniel is in the corner, rolling his eyes, feeling so embarrassed by this recount, and is groaning about, see, that's why nobody believed him. Bro, all of you people should believe him now after everything you have seen. All of these bitches should believe him because, like, they have the nerve to act all snobby. Like, only the aliens that I have seen count, and this guy is bananas. Like, they still have the nerve to be like, this guy's got a fucking screw loose. Let me tell you. Like, I don't understand it. It's so frustrating.
God, you are feisty today, Sarah.
Justice for Nick and Rothman. Justice. Because, like, Daniel, you of all people.
Nick messed up. Nick messed up a while ago, though, which is why Daniel is kind of over him. Is my guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
He mentions it later, but yeah, I think there's a reason why Daniel is pretty hostile toward him.
But considering everything going on at the current moment, Mr. Invisible Daniel, that people can walk through you, you're still like, this fucking guy's he's banana. Like, bro, you have everything to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should take him a little seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So Nick could never again find the temple in Belize. It was like it never existed because he tried to go back to like recreate it, but the temple collapsed and then he could never find it again. And he said, can you imagine what it feels like to go on the most incredible journey of your life and have no one believe you? And then finally we get like a smidge, a crumb of recognition from some of SG-1 to be like, oh shit, yeah. I guess like we should maybe
sorry.
Yeah. But not they don't say it. They're just like, oh, empathy, I guess. But Beyond that, that's all we get. So Nick is escorted to a VIP room. Jack and Sam continue debating Nick's claims while still not fully believing him, which is wild.
Mhm.
Again, wild to me
Mhm.
after all the shit they've seen. So Daniel is alone with Nick in his room. They have a full ass conversation. Nick apologizes for not adopting him when his parents died. Daniel now
Mhm.
realizes Nick can see him and has been able to see him the entire time. But Nick
Mhm.
thinks he's just hallucinating. He's like, I'm banana, like I'm crazy. I know I'm nuts. I checked myself into a hospital. Like, you're not real.
Mhm.
And Daniel tries to convince him, and it's like, hey, listen, I know I've been trying to convince you that your entire life that you're crazy and insane, but now I need you to realize that you're not, because like I need
Mhm.
your help, which is kind of
Here's the
shitty.
thing. It seems like Nick also just has hallucinations
Mhm.
because
And I have
he
a
kind
theory
of
for that.
he referred to it being in the facility, having like regularly talking to fake Daniel. You know? It's kind of
Mhm.
the way it felt, which is like, that's cool. He could still have hallucinations and still be 100% right on this one, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
I have a theory about that too, then, for the end.
okay.
Okay.
So we cut to the briefing room. Nick tells Hammond, Fraser, and the rest of SG-1 that Daniel is here and that he can see him. Jack sarcastically says he's lost a few pounds.
Daniel just like, Jack, don't be an ass.
Jack, don't be an ass.
And then Jack's like, Daniel, you're here? Because Nick repeated exactly what Daniel said. So, like, that's all it took for Jack to believe him, which is kind of funny. Nick tells them they have to go back to the planet and let the skull finish what it started. They all pause at the mention of planet because they're like, oh,
Hammond's
God.
like, why would
Jack's
you?
like, Jack. So we have this piece of dialogue: O'Neill, Nick, Daniel, Hammond, Fraser. So I'll grab
I'll
the
be
O'Neill.
Hammy, Fraser.
All right, I can be Nick Daniel.
So Nick mentions planet, and Jack is like, not a word, sir, I swear.
Daniel told me all about the Stargate. We must replace the skull on the pedestal so that the giant aliens will come. Something must have interrupted this process.
Teal'c fired his dad. That's all I can imagine it would be, sir.
Daniel says, "That's it. That's what interrupted the process. We have to let it happen. We have to trust it."
Why didn't you say something sooner?
Nick says, I thought I was hearing voices. It wouldn't have been for the first time.
Fraser, forgive me, but why are you the only person who can see him?
Perhaps because I went through the same experience.
So then Daniel uses the conversation he had with his granddaughter to convince Hammond that, like,
Mhm.
I am here. You were alone when you had that conversation, so what else could it be? So they go to the planet. Nick does lie and say, like, Daniel says I have to come. It's I
Daniel
have
was
to be
like,
there.
I did?
Just like, stop! You're taking advantage of this.
I mean,
Nope,
who
have
wouldn't
to
do
come.
that? Like,
Yes.
I totally gotta go. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm critical. I have to be there. Sorry.
yeah.
Yep.
So they get to the planet. Nick confirms that the cavern is exactly how he remembered it. They cross the bridge, and Nick replaces the skull on the pedestal. Daniel looks into its eyes again. The lights flash all around them. Radiation spikes, but they don't leave this time. There's a field of light. It collapses back around the skull, and then Daniel reappears. But now, everyone except for Teal'c is
Mhm.
all out of phase. They can see each other, but then Teal'c is like looking around, like, "Hello, where's everyone? Like, where did you go?"
Mhm.
So we have some dialogue. Daniel, Carter, giant
but
alien.
before that, you skipped over the from the cavern floor. A giant
Oh,
mist alien appears and speaks
wait, I think I
Mayan.
went. Yeah, I think I skipped down
Yep.
too much. So,
It's just that last little line right above it.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Just that little line.
And he says the same line that Christina tried bravely to say: "The enemy
yep,
of my enemy is my friend."
yeah. And I don't know. Do we confirm if Teal'c can also see this, or only the people who are like
I think Teal
invisible,
can't.
out of phase, or whatever?
Yeah, I think the
Okay,
aliens are out of phase too. So Teal, the
can't
only the
see.
people they bring in would be able to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Daniel, Carter.
I'll be
Giant
Carter and
alien.
Giant Alien.
I'll be O'Neill.
Okay, I'll just be Daniel. And then the little Nick that's in there. All right. Daniel says, it didn't affect Teal'c. Why?
Because he's Jafar.
He's carrying a symbiote, a Gould, and then goes towards the alien and then says, "We are enemies of the Gould."
Then you are welcome here.
Jack looks at Daniel. Keep talking.
"We are travelers. We come in search of friendship. We'd like to exchange our knowledge and culture."
And these are very trusting giant aliens because they straight up just say, "We accept your proposition." Like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, then he points points to Nick. "You may remain. This is not the first time you have journeyed here."
Yeah.
And
So
then,
it's like, well, only let this guy stay because like he's been here before. He checks out.
yep. And
So-
then
Good people.
So then he volunteers to stay, and Nick's like, "This was my," and Nick to everyone is like, "This was my life's work. I've been hoping for another chance at this for 29 years. Please." And Daniel says, "You just came back into my life." And Nick says, "I'll be back again."
Spoiler alert, no, he fucking
No,
won't.
no, he won't. He's done. He's gone.
Bye-bye, Nick.
So
Wait, but hold on, because Daniel's like, "You have to tell me everything." And they have this whole thing where Daniel's like, "Tell me, you'll have to tell me everything." And he's like, "I will. I promise."
It's kind of like he just pulled that shit again. "Oh, I didn't adopt you when your parents died." I mean,
in that terrible museum accident where they're crushed by giant fucking stones. Fuck.
It's the worst. Poor Daniel. The worst fucking
I'm
luck.
saying I think there's a reason why. There's a fairly justified reason why he's so mad at Nick at the beginning of this.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, okay. SG-1 are directed by the giant mist alien to look back into the eyes of the skull. Daniel says goodbye and he calls Nick Grandpa because there was this whole thing of like, yeah, he didn't let us call him Grandpa. He made us call him Nick. And that's why he called him Nick the whole episode. And then they kind of like make amends. He's like, bye, Gramps. And then that's the end of the episode. Thoughts? Comments?
Well, John's got a comment.
Let's hear it. He says the
Aliens
aliens are the
aren't-
furlings. Which
I
honestly,
mean-
I wouldn't be surprised, but you see the word furling and picture fur.
Which is why
But-
it's never going to be fur. Actually, we're just never going to see the furlings.
It's too, yeah.
Brad
never
pretty
gonna
much
see it.
said that on the celebration thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, we'll never
He's
see
like-
them.
he's like,
It's
"You'll
been
never see
built
the
up too
furlings."
much to a point where
It's a
like,
it's a gag now. You can't. You just
Yeah.
can't.
anything
Yeah.
would be
reveal.
disappointing.
Mhm.
So-
yeah, go. Just go.
All right. So these are my two discussion points that I was able to fucking think of from this Nothing Sandwich of an episode. Nick and Daniel are two sides of the same coin. So both have these outlandish, correct ideas. They're
Mhm.
crazy, but they're both correct about aliens. They're shunned from their academic community. However, while Daniel meets Catherine Langford, he has the opportunity to explore and prove his theories. Nick doesn't and remains shunned, ultimately being institutionalized and labeled as crazy. This could
Mhm.
have easily become Daniel's fate, which is
100%.
why, no, regardless of the past, I think after Daniel experienced this and like found out that his theories were true, he could have extended that grace to Nick to be like, "Hey, maybe you were right."
But in his eyes, he didn't deserve it, and I don't blame him because I'm sorry if my grandfather didn't adopt me after my parents died that way. That person deserves nothing from me. They don't deserve to be validated. I would hold that forever against them. I
Yeah,
wouldn't have.
as I'm very pro cutting people out, so like
And you
I
know
get
that I'm
that.
not. And you know
Yeah.
that I'm not. I'm like the opposite. I'm like the forgive and forgive a million times before they've even done any wrong. But like that I don't think he owes him that. I think that's on Daniel. I don't think Daniel should feel obligated to have done that because also he couldn't prove his work. Daniel did in a way have his work proven. I don't
out
know,
of
but
sheer luck though.
sure. But he doesn't what good would it do
Here's-
to extend that to Nick?
Here's the other thing. As much as we were, bashing Daniel for not believing Nick had the experience he had and did not believe Daniel when Daniel had
That's
his
true.
theories. So it
Yep.
went both ways for sure.
Yep.
Hmm. However, comma,
Mm-hmm.
Nick's was more of an experience that he had. Like, this is my lived experience. This is what I have seen for myself.
Mm-hmm.
While Daniel's at that point was just a theory. So,
And also, though, like, it's because, yeah, okay, to your point. So Nick's was more like of oh my God, I can't talk. An
abduction.
abduction, thank you, story.
Mhm.
Which, if he is also someone who had like a mental break and does have hallucinations in whatever record aside from that, that'd be hard to like discern the truth there. But like Daniel put like research and thesis and like a lot together to prove his point, even without the experience. So I can understand that they didn't believe each other because there's two totally different things. I think if Daniel had said, I experienced this, maybe Nick would have been like, oh shit, I experienced something too. Let's talk about it. Or if Nick had research done and tried to prove something and it was disbelieved, maybe they would have found common ground there. But that's my take.
I get it. Yeah, I get like the dynamic being strained, but then what frustrated me about this episode the most was that like even after everything that happened, Daniel was still like rolling his eyes and being like, "Oh god, this fucking story again." It's like, "Bro, what do you mean? Like this is happening to you right now and you're still on this shit? Like he is your best chance of figuring out what happened."
Mm-hmm.
So that was my frustration. And again, that could have easily been Daniel had he
Mhm.
not found the path that he is on now.
Right.
So my other theory is that Nick mentions he has heard voices in the past, which is
Mhm.
why he didn't think Daniel was real. But was Nick really crazy? Because after his experience with the aliens, he was exposed to another plane of existence, which is why he could see Daniel. So could his hallucinations really be just beings from another plane of existence that nobody else can see? And that's why he thinks himself to be crazy, and that's why other people think he's crazy. Like after being exposed to this, maybe he could see and hear shit that nobody else could because of what he went through.
Totally could be.
I believe that. I believe that.
Which makes me feel even like worse for him because he convinced
Mhm.
himself he was the one who checked himself into the institution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really solid theory. That maybe he did actually see all those people who were in a shifted
And
area.
the lore of those shifted out of phase people keeps continuing throughout Stargate too, you know.
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways that people are get shifted out of you know, this dimension into
Mhm.
out of phase.
Interesting. Sarah, I really like that theory.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a good one.
So
like
it
that.
makes you wonder, like, in the world of Stargate, like, are there people that are considered like crazy or a little far out there? And it's like maybe they're not. Maybe they just were exposed to something that is alien, and now they can see like ghosts or whatever. Like I don't know. It just is a cool theory to think about. And again, like makes me feel bad for Nick because he convinced himself he was crazy. And he could have just been
Yeah.
seeing something on a whole other plane of existence that's on Earth that we don't even know about. Like ghosts.
I'll
Like
give you that one.
or
I like
some
that
shit.
theory.
I don't know.
I like that one.
But that's all I
Okay.
had for this episode. I couldn't really think of anything else. The
This
Nothing Burger.
This episode angered me about so many stupid things because I forgot to mention when we were talking about all the stupid CGI stuff in the running across the bridge is when when he's running out of phase, when Teal goes to rescue him, and he's not there, and he gets up and he's like got his vest and he's running back. Why does he take his vest off and throw it into the abyss to run back?
I saw that too.
That has all of his equipment. It has all his stuff. Why would you throw it into the abyss?
It was too heavy. He's like, I have to run fast. I don't know.
Stupidest edit ever. Like I'm like, why would you take your shit off and throw it and then go through? And then also, how does he actually go through a wormhole if he's out of phase? Like that also like messes with me. Anyway, all
That's
that
true.
stuff.
It makes I wondered if he could have like dialed back because I was thinking, how does he get back? I forgot for a second.
Yeah.
Like, did he just dial the gate and walk through the iris? Could that possibly happen?
He
I
probably
don't
could have
know.
walked through the iris, but he can't touch the
That's true. You're right.
you know,
Yeah.
the
He
DHT
can't
to
like
like
press the
dial.
buttons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, also back to the CGI. We mentioned this in our group chat. Like while they're looking at this expanse of horrible CGI, they're playing like the very beautiful Asgard music, and it's like that was not worth the payoff at all. You wasted that
No,
music.
it was so wasted, and like all the writing that got put into this grand place, this beautiful building, this pyramid of awe striking, and then it's a gray fucking blob
So
that looks
underwhelming.
it. And again, I wanted to try to go back in time in my brain to like, what did it look like back then? Would that have been awe-inspiring? Would
I
that have
think
looked
I think the
cool?
outside of the pyramid is more awe-inspiring than the room that we get to see inside the pyramid.
Yeah.
So I think that was a little on the side of we only have the budget for this, so we need to describe it really well
I guess, but
because
then
we can't actually show that. They might have been running out of budget, which is why the CGI looks
get that.
especially
We are on
bad
the second to last episode of the season.
of the season. Yeah.
You know, that's fair. But it was like, then just don't do it. Then just keep it neutral. Just say this is a Mayan pyramid. It's interesting because it's actually not from the Gould. We don't know of other like situations that it would have been used. Like maybe find other ways. But this like to say it's this like large, grand, beautiful thing, and then you see it. It's just anyway.
Gray.
Gray.
There's a really funny. I know we'll get to it too whenever we get to the actual episode Wormhole Extreme, but there's the really funny line talking about people being out of phase, where they're like, "So I can walk through walls and everything, right?" And they're like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, why don't I fall through the floor?" This is like your question about the gate and everything too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just stand there and just don't mention it, but just because, which is exactly like that hanging the lantern on the problem so that you go, I know it's there, but I don't have a solution for you.
Yeah.
Because this is television and
Yeah.
you know, if it would be pretty awkward if everybody just kept falling through the planet and then ricochet, like back up, that would be bad.
They just have to make them with like little ghosty tails, or like they don't have legs and they just like float around like little ghosts and shit.
Yeah.
That would be more believable, but that would be too much CGI probably.
Yep.
Way too much CGI. And also another thing about that is so in many of the scenes, like Teal'c, walked through Daniel or whatever, but the one scene where then they're leaving and Daniel's like laying there out of phase, Teal'c 100% steps over him. You see him see Daniel and step over him as he's running. And I'm like, it was just bad edit. I know it's probably low budget. It was just like those nuanced, really stupid things that were pissing me off this time. But mostly because it was making me nauseous trying to like see this scene stay stable.
Continuity was not that big of a deal back in the before times of the internet. No, I'm just saying like, yeah.
But
because
also
now it will be picked apart nowadays. Like everything is picked apart and like scene by scene breakdowns happen. So it was just a different time.
It was. And like honestly, the fact that these are things that were like, oh, bitch about this is honestly because it was just like, oh, what the hell is this episode? Like there was nothing like majorly plot amazing about it. So we can complain about these things and move on.
Yeah.
It was not a spectacular episode. But
you know what? I still like it more than
Emancipation, 100 days.
100 days.
Hey, there
100 days.
At least I didn't make some cheesy soap opera music for this one.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What episode is next?
The season 3 finale, which means, guys, we're getting into the good shit very soon. Very soon.
Season 4, baby.
That's where everything happens.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. I have nothing else for this one. It's just a continuation of the so
yeah.
I think I'll close it out because I actually have an idea for once.
Oh, sweet. Let me get the button
Cue
ready
it up.
to go. Thanks everybody
Cupid.
out there for being here live.
Thank you.
Live and in Technicolor. Refresh.
Now that I think we'll try to get at least slightly more regular going now that the holidays are over. So
yeah, we're back on track.
yeah. All right.
All right.
That's it. That's my spiel. That's all.
Ready?
Good spiel.
Yeah.
All right, Rothman. Come on, let's go start a clique of our own. Let's leave these bitches in the dust. Bye. Closing.